Welcome
to Let's Chat Podcast.
To the Let's Chat That's two beeps right there. We got a mad podcast today. Bare shit happened. Even this was a quick one because yesterday all shit was taking place. We talk about Kyle Rittenhouse today. We're talking about how social media is affecting the Western world and how it's being weaponized. We got a lot of different topics today.
Oh, she shouted Joe Rogan.
Yeah, shout out Joe on the podcast. And make sure you listen to us on Spotify. That's your probably easiest way to listen to us because you could just minimize and keep going. If you're on Android, advanced app, the best app ever. And so our first topic was so on the Joe Rogan podcast we had the two guys from Social Dilemma actually join the podcast. Social Dilemma was basically talking about how the big social media giants, your Facebook, Twitters, YouTube, how they've been using the algorithm or how the algorithm is being used against Western civilizations, democracies, and how China and Russia have actively gone out of their way to use social media as a form of warfare.
It's a weapon.
It's a weapon.
Did you get to listen to the podcast?
Yes.
Clips.
I listened to the whole thing. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
I know the other guy from. I think I was listening to him on some other podcast. I think it was Lex Friedman. He did Lex Friedman's podcast.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, and he was pretty sick. So yeah, just listening to him was always great. Apart from the whole Tristan. Yo, my G is Tristan. Yeah,
Tristan.
Who was calling him Tristan?
J.R.E.
Oh, really? Oh.
But yeah, so what they were discussing was, I think the reason we're kind of talking about it because it goes quite nicely into what's happening with the Kyle Rittenhouse case that recently when they found him not guilty of the three people who shot, two of them which he killed, one survived. And the reason I'm kind of discussing this is how polarized our communities and democracies and just seem to be. Everything seems very on the extreme side. And what they were discussing was what we already kind of knew from Social Dilemma of, how they're using the algorithms to kind of polarize us more, how to put us from once against each other as much as they can. But during this podcast, in the last couple of years, these guys have stepped up the game. China have actively gone and even said it, that their tactic, instead of actually directly attacking people, us like the traditional war, between the US or the UK, they've decided that their tactic is not going to be like the Cold War, in which way where they used to do, espionage, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But in this case, they're using social media to cause infighting. This is their tactic. Infighting is their tactic.
And beta males.
And a beta males. What do you mean by beta males?
So do you remember we spoke about it on a couple of podcasts ago? We spoke about how China are enforcing preventing people from playing video games, for example,
and simping,
and shit
that
like
is
that.
a very good point that you said. Yeah,
and obviously, watching the podcast, what's it called, Tristan did point out that the CCP, they're trying to promote education and less gaming, and less simping, all that stuff. And even
so just before we go into that, actually, because let's first say what the problem is, and then we'll say the solution, which you're talking about, is the solution China has gone. The route of solution they went with.
That's what they did.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're good. First, let's say that what they've been kind of doing. So, firstly, when it comes to the tech companies, China knows that the government, the US government, the UK government are medieval organizations, essentially, because they haven't got the time or the ability to move and regulate these industries because those industries are moving so fast. By the time they're like 3-4 steps ahead in these industries, where the algorithms are so far ahead, the government has barely even appraised what the issue is. They don't know what the issue is yet. They haven't even looked at it. They don't even understand what the issues is.
100%.
So China is directly using that as a form of pushing these agendas out, because they know by the time that the US or the UK get to it, they would have done enough damage. Already.
Very clever.
So, for example, one thing they mentioned on the podcast was, did you know that the top 15 Christian American groups are entirely troll farms? Now, let me explain what troll farms are. These guys have now their technology is so high, are so heightened. They're able to use AI to create accounts, essentially bots, to create arguments on social media platforms, for example on Facebook. And you can tell this AI bot, I want an argument, for example, for COVID, using for COVID vaccinations, using statistical research. But you put so much research that the people who actually are verifying what you're saying cannot do that. It will take a team of statisticians to actually verify what you're saying. But because you've backed up your sources, when people see, oh, these guys linked some sources, people are going to believe, then he's telling the truth, type of thing. So the bots are so sophisticated that they can literally put this stuff out, these conversations, and then what happens is you see a bot interacting with a real person. They're replying with good arguments, and it's crazy. And then what they showed was an example Reddit thread in which they said, this is a GP, these are all just bots.
Right, okay.
And you cannot tell if it's a bot or not. And that's what the Turing test is. You cannot tell whether you're interacting with a bot or a human being. And now, this is what you call a troll farm. Now, the top 15 Facebook groups for Christianity in the US are all troll farms. That is 134 million people being influenced.
Really? That's
exactly.
number.
Exactly. Now, of those 134 million, they said nearly 85% of those people aren't even subscribed to those groups because they showed an interest in Christianity, and those people, those groups invited them. So imagine if you get invited to a Christianity group, you see their content.
Okay.
Without you accepting it.
Oh, really?
Imagine.
That's how Facebook works.
That's how Facebook works.
Okay.
So that they drive engagement.
Yeah, it's
a bit mental, isn't it?
It is crazy. So now imagine Facebook, Twitter, and all these guys, their main aim is to drive engagement. Their biggest, they say, their biggest competitor is sleep. That's their biggest competitor is sleep. They are trying to get your attention so fucking much. So much so that teenagers nowadays have extremely small attention spans, far smaller than 10 years ago, far smaller than 20 years ago, because they've been getting the likes, the infinite scroll. This has been dopamine effects the entire time.
Yeah, it's a drug. It's a drug.
When you're literally hit with these dopamine effects 24/7, what happens? We know when you're doing work in school, there's no dopamine effect being given to you. So you're like withdrawal systems. You can't be fucking focusing on this shit because nobody gave you fucking like for this.
Yeah, I guess.
So it's gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
so China's made an approach towards it versus how
so you explain
the West versus the West and how they approach it, I suppose. China's like, okay, cool, we have so much control over our social media, of our people in general. We can just prevent, I guess, what we think might happen if they engage with the technology the way that the West is engaging with it. Where like I said, simps. People watching Twitch streams of just girls on the bathtubs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's just bunch of kids basically using their parents' money. And they become weak men. Right. So China's like, no, let's not make that happen. It's funny, Joe Rogan was like, yeah, praising China, well done, that's very smart.
No, and to be honest,
I praised him. I praised him.
Yeah. But you saw what I was telling you about the TikTok, what they've done with the TikTok. They've gone out and they've actually now, if you on TikTok, if you scroll 5 times the Chinese TikTok, remember all their social media they own. There is no Facebook, there's no Twitter, there's no YouTube. So the same tactics that they're using against us, we cannot use against them because they have direct control over all their social medias. So you scroll 5 times on TikTok, it puts the timer and makes you wait. Says, do you want to go do something else?
Yeah.
It's good. It stops it from being addictive.
Kids are only
break, find something else to do.
Exactly, and they're only allowed to use it for specific periods of time. They're doing this on purpose. The games thing, as you were mentioning, on purpose. They know that this is causing issues for kids down the line. So what they're trying to do is they're building a generation of basically super compared to us, because our kids are literally getting worse and worse and worse due to the social. They get infected more and more negatively. Huge issues with their mental health now. Huge issues. So slowly and slowly our generations are becoming worse off, where theirs are being protected.
Yeah, it's smart. Like,
It's smart.
I don't want to live under that. Like,
No, you
that
wouldn't. You
rule
wouldn't.
and like be limited to what I can do. But at the same time, it will benefit them as a country so much. Like,
we don't know. We don't know. We might.
I think it will.
I think
There might be some unintended consequences.
There's a reason they're kind of doing it.
Some
I'm
dark,
not allowed to play
dark-
games and
Yeah.
I murderer.
hey, you never know.
To be honest, Masu's got a point there. We don't know exactly.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens in the future. Like, you have a point there. We'll see what happens in the future. But from where we're sitting now, I reckon that if I had to put my bets down, I know where I'll put my
I
bets.
don't know, man.
Yeah.
Imagine you were playing 12 hours of video games, like you were trying to become a League of Legends professional player, and then they were like, yeah, how about no? And then next thing you know, 12 hours you were doing like all day, every day. That was you playing games.
Yeah.
And now you're allowed 40 minutes.
Yeah. You'd be pissed, but now you have 12 hours to do something useful.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. People don't just like, okay, I guess I have to do something useful now.
What if you got nothing else to do?
They go, fuck this. Fuck the government. I'm going to explode.
But do the Chinese kids do that? I don't see it.
Nah, they'll get licked off.
They'll get licked off.
They'll
No,
get
It's a
licked
pit.
off.
you don't see it, but yeah, there's always protests and bare beef in China.
But
Punishments.
but
their credit score, their life. What's it called?
Yeah,
the social credit score.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Credit score. Peak
So-
out here, man.
So you can see what China is doing is they're ensuring that there's polarization in our countries. So
Yeah,
now,
and Russia as well, of course.
Yeah, and Russia's been doing the same, and we're extremely
Fuck us up.
polarized. And now we've become a point where we are just groups. You pick your side no matter what an issue is, and that's it. You stick to your fucking side.
Yeah.
And we've been seeing that in for example,
The Rittenhouse thing.
in the Rittenhouse thing.
Yeah.
But before we just get into the Rittenhouse, I want to show you. Imagine this, yeah. You know what I found out?
Oh, what's up?
Fam, how is they doing this? So now, because they've all been racing for your attention, the social
Yeah,
media giants.
exactly.
They've all been racing for your attention so much so.
Yeah.
Like,
Got him.
they're trying to get you on there 24/7. Guess what they're doing now on TikTok?
What?
On the no filter section, they're actually putting a beautification filter.
Huh?
So you take a picture on TikTok,
And you say
you
no
look
filter.
better. And you say no filter,
And
you
they
look
put a
better.
filter.
They actually put a filter. You don't know. They put a 2% filter, so you look better.
Bro,
And now Instagram
so
are thinking,
jokes.
oh, these guys, everyone's going to TikTok to take pictures now. 5%. 5%
Oh,
filter.
yeah. So now they're going to increase the filter slightly.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
It's a race. Soon, there is no filter. Everyone looking buff. Everyone looking buff on there.
Nah,
What?
there's probably going to be a threshold, like a little limit.
No, because everyone's going to do it until someone's like, this is a bit too fake. Then everyone, they'll optimize it. But it's just like, come on, it's becoming
But
ridiculous.
to be fair, when I first, like, as a teenager, when I first saw social media, I was very shook. I was like, oh, no, this is all going to be fake shit, crazy shit. It's going to fuck up your mind. So I never really jumped on it. And then now, and as people were getting on it, they was taking pictures, of regular stuff like the nature. I don't know, maybe you and your friends were taking pictures of leaves and stones and shit.
Okay.
Next thing you know, Instagram became all just Tatiana. And then TikTok, same thing. It first became just dancing, innocent kids. Next thing you know, it's OnlyFans.
Yes, of course.
It's because you don't get likes for leaves and stones, bro. You get likes for bums and tits. Pretty much.
Let me see the eyes.
and imagine, I've got a cousin who's like really young, and
She-
her mum found her on TikTok twerking at like age 12. 12. You know why she's doing it?
Cuties.
Because everything else that she posted, she didn't get no likes or no nothing.
Yeah.
But
You
the
have to
minute
step up your
the
game,
minute
innit?
she stepped up her game, what happened? Likes came in, comments started
Bro.
going, oh, you look amazing. Da-da-da-da-da.
It's actually true, fam. This is a mandem. It's actually the mandem that fucking up the game.
Yeah.
It's the pedos. There's pedos in the game. There's pedos in the game. That's the problem.
Oh, but that's the thing is,
Pedos is probably the best place you can go on TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. Hands down, bro.
Hands down. You don't
Teens
even
showing
need to,
underwear.
you don't even need to do anything illegal anymore.
what's the solution though to all of this? Because there's loads of like
Perfect, yeah, you asked
negative consequences of using social media and the way it's being used and optimized for
That's a very good question, because that's what I wanted to discuss. Because now what China did is what it can do. China's able to take away civil liberties whenever it wants.
Right.
It can tell you to do things and force you to do things whenever it wants. Their solution is poor, but it's a solution. However, we can't do this. In the West, if they try to implement any of these solutions, uproar.
Yeah,
well, no, there are some solutions. There are, like some market forces. Like, for example, there are like those features that are inside, some sort of apps that says, "Hey, by the way,"
That no one uses because they know no one's gonna use it,
Yeah.
and they
They do it to look good.
to look good.
But no one uses it.
no one uses it. And what do they do? They use what's the A/B testing? That I know.
Yeah.
They use that to where A/B testing is basically they'll.
Yeah, you just check
they have
A,
two versions.
then check B.
Yeah, you have two
whichever one's
versions of the
preferred.
app. You send some users here, and then what they do is they're basically looking, how well can I hide this feature? How well can I hide this feature? Stick it in some setting that's bare far and make it kind of dead to use as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't bumped into anyone in a while.
like there's parental controls, isn't there? That I know some.
To be honest, the parents,
you have to be very literate in this stuff to understand that it's causing issues to your kid.
Bro,
and what happens in school?
That's probably the biggest thing, you know. Most parents just don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They just don't know. They just
hand the iPad to the kid. And that's it.
And why are you giving the kid the iPad at age 8? Because Timmy in his class got it at 7.
Bro, I swear to God, I saw this kid walking down the street. I was thinking, okay, cool. This kid's got some massive bag. I remember back in the day when he used to back. I remember listening back in school. The guy brings out iPhone 12, just like, ta-ta.
Really?
I'm like, what, bro? You're like 12 years old. Like, iPhone 12.
My sisters, my little baby brother, 10 years old, they got phones. And they need it because every kid in their class has one.
You feel like you have to,
they're socially exercised if they don't have it. They need to have it. They're excluded otherwise. So then what happens is that these kids are on it much earlier as well.
Fuck yeah.
Which it just shows, it's just crazy. And we can't, as we know, we can't employ the same solutions China has.
Right.
So they've won it. They've won that system.
China have already won.
They've already won that. Russia has already won in that case. They really like played this extremely well.
But the thing is, for example, right now, if you go on Twitter, you even get like spam everywhere. Like I recently just been messing around with Twitter, and it's just spam everywhere, 24/7, just account spamming 24/7 on any post. On Joe Rogan post something, Jordan P post something. It's just spammers at the bottom 24/7. And even like the CCP bots, they just have CCP bots spamming everywhere. You go on YouTube, everywhere. So
it's crazy.
Like, so not only is it just like how social media fucks you up like on the individual basis, but then there are also like massive forces from both government and market forces that are trying to fuck you up at the same time,
taking advantage of it.
It's just massive fuckery.
It really like my attention span has directly been affected by social media.
But it influences like all the way to the, like, you know, the political scale, where, you know, it actually changes who gets voted, like how people vote. Excuse people towards certain votes and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's crazy, man.
So that's another thing I wanted to touch on. So in China, what they're doing on purpose is that they know when you now polarized the voter base on the Christian forums, you've been spamming anti-Islamic stuff for ages. Why? Because you know that's going to polarize that community, and they're going to put them on two sides. This is the point. They want to polarize them against the Muslims, everyone polarized against each other. What happens? Now your voter base are polarized individuals entirely. So what happens? Who's getting elected? Polarized individuals. Those people who are on the fringes are going to start, moderates are going to be less and less likely to be elected. And what's that going to cause? When you have two sides of the coin, both of them polarized, infighting. Can you make changes to any regulations while you're fighting? No. Played like a fiddle. Like, they are so good at this. Now let's move on to Kyle Rittenhouse. So as we all know, Kyle Rittenhouse has literally been found innocent, like we clearly said.
Not guilty.
Not guilty, exactly. Like we clearly said last episode. And what's happened? People like AOC, for example, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I think was a genuinely decent politician most of the time, is what I believed. And I thought she was more fighting the establishment. But it just shows you, no, she's just like the rest of them.
Yeah, she has a team.
Of course, tax the rich, bro.
No, exactly, tax the rich. That's her team. She has a simple team. And what's her team? Her team is that left wing. We have to stay against that guy who's on the other side.
1%.
Even though it is an open shut case, people have clearly found out that it was entirely self-defense. The third guy that actually survived basically literally said, he only shot me after I pointed the gun at him
and ran towards him.
So clear self-defense. 100%. And then the other two were on camera caught trying to attack him with a skateboard and shit. on camera. So clear self-defense. Clear. You can argue whether he should have been there or not. That's up to you. Yeah. But to be honest, you can say the same thing for any protester.
Exactly. It's all morality.
All three people that got shot were all felons. In fact, one of them was an actual pedophile, child rapist. That's what he was. So we can say, why was he out? Why was he not?
His whole thing got dropped, in it. All of his things got dropped, right?
No. One of that guy, he's on the sex offenders register, but he didn't sign it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like this kind of stuff. So it's like it's not like and then you can't say it's a black and white thing. Why? because the 3 people who shot are white people. So if the system is only meant to protect those it's designed for, why didn't it protect the white people that got shot?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then for her, who I'm sure she knows the details of the case because she's not a dumb person.
Exactly.
But to still pander to her kind of side, even though when clearly she knows the guy is for self-defense, just shows that no matter what, the people are polarized. They're gonna stick to their side, and they're gonna, no matter what the facts are, we are against him. Celebrities, huge celebrities, all attacking him.
Did you see what? Speaking of huge celebrities, did you see what Colin? I can't pronounce his name. Kaepernick.
Yeah, the NFL player.
The NFL player. Did you see what he tweeted? He tweeted, "We just witnessed a system built on white supremacy validate the terroristic acts of a white supremacist. This only further validates the need to abolish our current system. White supremacy cannot be reformed."
These people are dumb.
And you saw it. It's clear self-defense. Even the jury's like, yeah, you're not guilty, of course. Yeah, of course, come on, guys. And then he goes, yeah, no, actually, that's complete white supremacy right there.
Wait, who said that?
What the?
Oh, I thought you said Joe Rogan.
Colin
Kaepernick. But then see, and he's just again to his base. He's on his base.
Yeah, bro, the guy's got 4 million followers.
Yeah, who died though? It was white people. You know what I'm saying? The people you're trying to talk about protecting. Why were they not protected?
72.3k likes.
It wasn't a black and white thing. Like, why would you? Why make it into a racist thing?
Oh wait, LeBron James is trending. It must be because of this. Wait.
Yeah, it is. It is most likely.
Let me check it out.
You check it out.
You also said Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton
was against Carl Rittenhouse being found not guilty.
Exactly, and you know what? You know what was so funny? In the last big thing that was, I guess, it was like Palestine against the Jewish community.
Right.
And remember, everyone was like, on the Palestinian side because clearly what was happening was wrong. They asked Lewis Hamilton to comment on it. Because this guy is like social justice warrior number one. Yeah. He's always posting shit about stuff. But you know what he said in this case? Because I don't want to post anything about this because I just don't understand the conflict well enough. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
But then here you are, the minute that this one you're able to post without understanding anything.
Right.
But then what it shows me is, because we know that in F1 there's a lot of Jewish money in F1.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck up your bag in F1 like
true,
that.
True.
So you ain't gonna be saying nothing. You ain't gonna be saying nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like and then obviously the right wing people are shouting, he's a hero, he's fucking amazing. He's self-defense or. Listen, the guy was a retard turning up to a fucking riot with a gun. He shouldn't have been there with a fat gun like that. You shouldn't have been there at all.
Yeah.
You just stay home.
Yeah, he's not a hero at all.
He's not a hero. He's dumb.
Also,
he's extremely stupid for being there. But he's not guilty. No matter what you say, he ain't guilty, bruv. And clearly they found out he's not guilty. But that's what I'm saying. I was reading the fucking comments as well, some of the stuff, and it was the same bots, bro.
No justice.
Bro, it was the exact bots.
I saw some CCP bots as well.
Oh, so many bots. I was
they were like, we need to make sure there's a retrial.
Really?
So the bots, are also basically trying to divide because this is a perfect scenario to divide even more.
Yeah.
But
it's all political.
It's all political. No one cares about no facts.
Yeah.
So then it just shows you that, how China and Russia are looking at this like, you know that meme, the guy who's like, doing this like this, you know what I'm saying? This one. That's that guy. That's how they're looking at it because they're like, what?
Right, yeah.
It's the perfect topic to try and polarize even further. Now, these people on the left, it seems, are now basically convinced that the system is completely against everyone.
Yeah, completely. The system is rigged. But how can you be not guilty?
Exactly. Exactly. And then they're like, majority of them though actually believe that it was 3 black people he shot. They still
really?
Some people are so dumb they don't even understand anything. Yeah. They actually believe it's 3 black people.
Headlines,
but I don't know if those 3
and
black people they're talking about, if that's a bot who said that, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. Because as we were saying, like they will purchase like Reddit accounts with karma and like accounts that already have history, so it just looks like a normal person.
From years ago they'll just take over someone else's account.
There's literally no way
to the carbon. Oh my god, it's like taking over someone's body.
Literally, they'll take over the body.
And you don't know.
You can't tell the difference, and that's what's crazy. and like after listening to that podcast and to see it in action the next day is shocking. Like I can literally see how the comments are so clear in the division, and nobody if you look at it, there's not much discussion happening.
Yeah,
whether you show someone clear evidence,
right.
Yo, look, here's the video should be evidence enough.
Yeah, but there needs to be a larger cost to spamming and all these bots because like, it's very difficult for, like you said, the social media platforms to even manage this, like algorithmically speaking, or the statisticians, whatever. They can't actually manage the bots. Like first they got to do the bots, then they got to do hate crime apparently, because fucking all the leftists can't handle people talking, freely. Yeah. So they got to do double whammy. I mean, literally, it's peak. So we need to find out some way to have social media without any spam.
Because before social media, we communicated face to face.
Yeah,
you could see the person who's communicating. You knew they're not a bot.
That's why people are promoted. Well, they push him for, like, you have to connect your ID to your account, so it knows it, like 100% you. Even if you're anonymous to the outside world, at least to the company knows this is you. Which I don't mind.
It's just like we need some solution, and I guess I don't understand, because to be honest, I've been banned off Twitter for what could be the most dumbest shit ever. I told you, I was praising someone, but because I used the same, the N-word next to a black player who most people also call it the N-word on the racist thing, I got banned. So then it's like, and once your ID account gets banned with just your ID, then you're not going in on that platform ever again. You're out.
Yeah, true.
And then
once you're banned, you're banned.
You're banned for good. You're banned.
You can't get a pseudonym.
No, once you're banned for good. And that means you cannot discourse again. Imagine if I banned you from speaking.
Bro, imagine
like in real life.
Press mute thing.
Imagine I banned you from speaking in real life. That's fucked.
I don't think there is.
You saw it on Black Mirror when you could just mute someone.
Fam, that one scared me.
That scared me.
I was like, right.
But you can do that on a computer. That's crazy.
That's peak. No. Imagine, fam, that's gonna break up like families as well. Imagine
it would do, wouldn't it?
Or girlfriends, wives. Shut up, mute.
I actually don't think there is a solution. I don't know how anyone's gonna.
And we've seen the Chinese solution is ban. And an example of this is recently. I don't know if you guys heard of Peng Shuai.
Oh yeah.
The tennis player. She came out and accused an official of sexually harassing her. Bro, next day she disappeared. Next day, bro. These men are so quick with it. They don't even give a fuck about, like, let me not look guilty. She disappeared, gone and all of her posts scrubbed from WeChat.
And she came out with a letter saying that she hasn't been kidnapped and she is okay.
And that no sexual harassment actually ever occurred.
She takes it all back.
And 3 pictures of her playing with kittens, all happy.
Really?
Bro, nobody believes it. Nobody believes that shit is real.
Yeah.
But that's why.
But the Women's Tennis Association, they were like, "Come on, G, nobody believes that's real." Like,
they said that. Like, even Joe Biden was like, "Listen, China, we're gonna start boycotting if you don't show us verifiably independent of her safety and bring her out of the China."
More kitten pictures. That's
bro, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, no, she's fine. Look, more kitten pictures," and then they're gonna be like, Peng who? What's her name again?
But she doesn't want to play tennis anymore. She's given up.
What happened to that billionaire that licked off?
Do you know what I mean? You're gonna forget next week. You're gonna forget.
I think he actually got let go in the end.
He did. After he done changed his mind, he noticed who the boss really is.
Bro, you're gonna change. If either you change your mind and you start like basically apologizing all that shit. But the thing is, they can't trust her because she broke. She did the madness. She's not like she did like billionaires where they're making movements, slide movements, they're trying to get power. She just went, fuck it, I'm posting on social media, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the social media they own, robbed. It was robbed out completely, gone. And it just, for me, it just shows me like China's tactics are mad. They are mad, but it's working. But
I feel like it will work.
It is working.
I don't want to live under them, but I also feel like they're better off for it.
And now then they're the number one superpower. They've been a recent study has been done to see who the number one superpower is, and China has taken over now.
In everything, really, almost. Like they can do whatever they want. It's got to the point where they're in control.
They are in control.
No, but I think there's loads of like what's called negative consequences of how they govern their country.
You know? Definitely.
And that's one of the major reasons why they're always behind, because they don't actually allow creative individual expression.
They're not behind though, are they?
They're very far behind in terms of a lot of things. For example,
civil liberty.
even like semiconductor manufacturing, for example, the biggest thing of the entire world.
Taiwan is killing them. That one. That's why.
Yeah, Taiwan's killing it. Europe. I mean,
but that's not lack of.
Korea's doing really well. Samsung.
Well, why would they be bad on? I don't get it. What do you mean by?
Basically, if you look at all the top 10 countries, like all the top companies in the world, and all the biggest economies, and if you look at per capita of like per individual, how quality of life, GDP, all that stuff, China is very, very, very low.
Not GDP.
Per capita is very low. No, it's like 50. Like, I'll show you right now.
I know they've got a very poor population in rural China. And stuff like that.
Is that what it is? Maybe I think that's because like they set up like that.
And they also have the ability to just copy other technology. They don't have the same rules and laws as us, where we can't. Where you get patents for shit. They can just copy.
And they're the number one powerhouse in artificial intelligence.
I'm just I'm skeptical, so we'll have to look at it later, I suppose.
But a lot of people do say they're the number one. They're the biggest investors in artificial intelligence.
For sure, they're going to be top alongside like US, Russia,
But then also
Germany, UK, all these top countries for sure. But I don't think they're number one. No.
But you know what actually they do as well is that maybe the companies are not number one for a reason. Every single time that they notice a company is getting a bit too much power, they cut that shit down ASAP, fam. They cut it out. It's like a disease.
Yeah,
they cut them right then and there. So you may be looking at it as like the companies are not the best, but that's not the point. The companies are all under control of the government.
Yeah. For example,
the government is the largest company
that's
there.
a very good strategy for the Chinese Communist Party. But I'm saying, as in, as a world economy, if you compare the US, for example, and China, and you compare how they perform company-wise, like, and even GDP per capita, I think it's pretty much on the US side.
No. In the last 2 decades, yes, China has grown tripled in size, whereas the US has only doubled in size. In economy-wise,
rate of growth might be different. Yeah,
in economy-wise, yeah. So China is far ahead, and they're the number one superpower now. Literally, a study has been done recently to confirm they are the number one powerhouse in the world.
Or what metrics do they use anyways? Like,
I couldn't tell you exactly.
Like, for example, military, obviously, the US is like number one. Obviously, like,
it depends on one, but from what I forgot the exact company that did it, but they're a very they're like it's like a JP Morgan,
and this is all recent as well. Like, if 50 years ago they were like nowhere near, they were hard down the list. They're second apparently. This is what I'm looking at, but
what, per capita or the
GDP by country?
Well, per capita, yeah.
Oh, and who's first? US.
Yeah, US at the moment.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, so.
But they're catching them hard, yeah.
No. If you look at so I don't.
Bro, I'm looking at it right now. GDP per capita, US $63,000, yeah, 63,500.
Yes.
China 10,500, bro.
But imagine, but look at the population though.
Yeah, obviously. That's what I'm saying.
It's only skewed because of population. If you think about it.
Yeah, obviously. So you'd want each individual to have a better quality of life. That's the.
They don't care about it like that.
That's the general thing you'd want.
Right.
I don't know.
But then they're actually doing something about that. They're actively doing something about that.
Yeah.
They're cutting down powers of the billionaires. They're trying to take their money back away. Now,
yeah, like Jack Ma tried to chat shit. He got silenced.
Yeah. So they're doing things about it. But I'm telling you, in my mind, China's number one. Straight
I
up.
don't know. I
know, right?
I'm very skeptical.
They be shouting that for time, and they're right.
I don't think the way that they govern, and especially how they treat the individual, will actually work out in the long term. I think in the end, the countries or the economies that optimize for the freedom of individual sovereignty and make them allow them to express themselves and educate themselves. And
that's why we're fucking up.
I think that one is going to be the most powerful. Regardless, I think. Still,
you mean in the far long term?
In the very long term, if I had to pick like which side to pick, let's say China or US, I'm going to pick probably US, for example.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. And the reason I say this, and personally, the reason I say this is because the US isn't going to be innovating. China moves like a company. They're literally moving. Imagine someone.
They stifle innovation. You just said it. Like every time they become billionaires, they stop it. They go, keep the lid on, keep the lid on.
But do you know what I mean by stifling innovation? They're stifling control, because the control is what's making them, is what has led them to where they are today. The control is that they have control over everyone in the economy, so they move like a unit as a company with a single focus. And because they have this single focus, they're making innovations easier and quicker. However, when someone goes out of that focus, like these massive companies or these billionaires, they cut them out to bring them back in focus. The focus part is where that's how they're winning, because the US are infighting.
Yeah, I agree with that part. I think the US is fucking up because of their infighting, because of the politics.
But they set that up on purpose, and because of the way they govern, that focus, that direct focus, is what's going to win them in the long run.
Maybe
my only kind of hope, my only caveat, just hope, is that the population gets angry due to the control that they're being put under, and then they start doing huge protests to then topple the government.
But that's when Tiananmen Square happened, right?
Exactly. So that's the thing. When the China, before they even start hearing rumblings of that, boom, cut off.
Silence.
It's like they cut that shit out ASAP. And that's why they're so strong with the whole cutting shit out. And that's why, for me, as long as they keep cutting shit out like that, they're gonna be far on the way ahead.
Yeah,
of
but
the
for
US.
example, we spoke about it in the last couple of podcasts. You know, we've seen multiple Chinese companies, one of the largest like development companies, like Evergrande, for example, fucking up.
Yeah,
and one of the reasons because they're fucking up is because, you know, the Chinese have a lot of corruption in their companies because they're overseen by the government, and the government, you know, is slightly inefficient. You know, I say slightly, I think very inefficient, really, and that causes people to, you know, just siphon a lot of money on the side. You know, take money into, you know, in the pocket, blah, blah, blah.
Do you not think that that's only happening because the government allowed it to happen? That's what I believe.
Maybe, it could
the
be.
Chinese government, if they didn't want it to happen, best believe it will not be happening.
Yeah, because, for example,
That's what
this guy, for example, the Chinese tennis player, to bring it back, actually, to bring it full circle, I guess he was only able to get away with everything because, you know, there's a sort of, I guess, I don't know, unwritten rules where, you know, these politicians can basically get away with things, and it's normally on the hush hush. So for the first time when somebody,
as long as you're aligned with the party,
yeah, exactly. So for the first time when somebody exposed, you know, such a, I think it was the vice president of the party or something like that, one of the top politicians in China, anyways. So it was, you know, very, very big news anyway.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think the control for me, 100%, because it's been working so far. Yeah, it has worked so far completely, and we can see why. And you know what? These guys have been setting it up like this. They've brought up all of Africa. They've brought up all of Africa, bro. They're so smart. And what they're doing is they're making sure the children that they're upcoming are all going to be smart.
Right.
But we are played, bro. We are being played.
Yeah, I can see that fit.
And then, yeah. So, and you can see we're trying to also kind of now do a bit of, you know, actually accountment and housekeeping now, because we're starting to realize the Chinese are moving too mad and we need to actually do something. So Boris Johnson has finally now backed bans on MPs consulting and actually doing
they
stuff.
spoke about this on Question Time the other day.
Go on, Dobby.
It's peak. Yeah, so for time that a lot of politicians, like even Boris himself, has been allowed to go away and talk to companies and almost advise them on certain topics. And you almost sounds like, oh, that's kind of fair, right? You know, their expertise should be used, but a lot of the cases they're doing it to advise companies on how to avoid tax, on how to avoid laws, on, you know, basically, and even the laws and stuff that they have influence over. Then it comes back around. The companies that they advise ask them to do things for them, to do favors, and a lot of MPs and people like Boris get rich, like completely rich off of these things.
Clintons.
It's how they make the money.
Yeah,
because no one's making money on 100 grand a year.
Yeah, they don't make enough doing their actual jobs. They do things that would be considered dodgy if you shone a light on it. And we're finally like saying that enough is enough. We don't want this. We want this to end.
Is it just the MP consulting, or is it other jobs as well? They could, like, for example, let's say I'm a medical professional on the side.
Oh, I'm not sure if they'd have issue. They were saying, like, you know, they don't want them to have second jobs like consulting, but I don't know if they would say, like, you're not allowed. I don't think they would be allowed to have a full-time like job like a doctor or medic alongside MPs.
Yeah, you can't do.
What if a quick dentistry thing? You know, do it on the weekends only.
I don't. They might allow it, but like, I don't know how
it depends. It depends, because a lot of people argue that we should be paying politicians enough so they don't be corrupt.
Do this, right?
but then a lot of people are like, oh, but then what happens is that people who are motivated by money end up going in these positions. Well, the position is very important. These guys are making laws, so no matter what you say, people are going to try to influence these people, of course. And it just shows you, like, the corruption has been going on. Like, people believe, you know, corruption is mostly in these like Eastern European countries, African countries, Asian countries. However, really, the UK is just as bad. They just do it. They just do it legally.
Yeah, literally.
They've just made the laws to make it legal.
Yeah, but don't you also think, like, a lot of people who are very, you know, intelligent and they're successful, conscientious people, they're not going to get into the field of politics because the wages are so low, right? And
that's true. Yeah,
and we're missing out on. And the thing is, a lot of times when these people get into politics, they could be competent people, but they're giving out an opportunity to the private sector, and now they end up going into the public sector where they have to face all this scrutiny and stress. And
that's very true, because
so of course that leads them to corruption, because they're getting cussed out and they sacrifice themselves.
That's why democracy doesn't work that well. Simply, to be honest.
How much do they get paid?
100 grand.
Is it?
It's about the prime minister gets paid about 140 to 160 grand, bro. Can you believe that? That's a prime minister. And I know developers who get about 120 to 150k, bro.
That's why. What's her name? I know they talk about US woman now, but Nancy Pelosi. I think she got a lot of trouble recently because she's been caught, not caught, I suppose, doing insider trading, but telling her husband to buy stocks for her and her family.
Really? That's inside. That is inside.
Based on kind of laws are going to happen. I guess technically, like I think they said it was technically legal or some bullshit like that.
It's all technically illegal.
She just told them the laws that were going to change, and they made their decision.
You know what I mean? It was some bullshit like that. But either way, she's also like supposed to be on $100,000 to $200,000. But she's worth hundreds of millions. Like, how does that happen? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. If you're worth 100 million, bro, how did that happen? While you work? Imagine you guys find out Abe is worth what 20 million,
right?
And I'm a developer. You'll be like, hey, what the fuck you been up to,
maybe
bro?
you got an app, or maybe you sold a website or something.
What's happened? What you been up to?
The lottery?
You know what I mean? That's why for me, it just simply,
You guys say they shouldn't have a second job, or
I don't think. Well, not the ones they're taking, like advising people on how to avoid laws and like taxation and stuff. I think it's wrong. Like. I don't know. I guess
we need to incentivize it somehow.
Like we're not allowed second jobs. In my contract, well, I don't know what your contract says, but my contract says I'm not allowed a second full-time job because it will get in the way of my first job.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is a usual thing, to be honest, and not have a proper second job.
I'm just wondering what system. How do we incentivize them not to be corrupt, and then but also not pay them like ludicrous amounts that only people who trying to make money are jumping in on the case? Maybe I just don't understand.
Yeah.
How much would they need to be paid to not be corrupt? Because even in these African countries, I'm sorry, if I'm getting paid 10 grand and then I'm a year or whatever, and then I'm being offered 150 grand to make a law change. Corruption, bro. It's so easy. You know,
like, do you think there is an amount that you could be paid? Cause I feel like it's
even $1 million is not enough, because I'm sure these guys make more than millions.
Yeah, and it goes back to the whole thing is when you get paid more, your lifestyle changes and you start spending more. Like even if you're paid like $1 million, you would still want more money.
Yeah,
I think someone on Question Time said they said, they should be allowed to do other work, but it has to be stuff like I don't know, school teacher or like cafeteria or like cleaning.
Make it worse.
Binman.
But that's what people
you gotta clean the streets. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta know the streets.
Exactly. And then the guy goes, cleans the streets, gets paid dead P, and he's not gonna be corrupt the moment he gets his first opportunity.
Yeah. But I mean, the jobs they have are so important. They shouldn't really have. I feel like their focus should be on their roles.
What if they're competent enough though? Like?
No. I believe 100% they should only have that one job. But what I don't understand is, how do we prevent corruption?
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing for me, and I think that's been democracy's biggest failure for me, is that it's been so easy to lobby, aka fucking bribe. You know what I mean? Bribe politicians to make law changes that help directly the companies, and they're not. And that's what's created one of the largest, in wealth inequalities that could possibly be seen. Because we can't afford to lobby these people, aka bribe them, because we tried to slip him a little £10, but we didn't do it in the legal way. Boom, we're already in prison. So for me, I'm just like, how do we do it? How does, because the US shown that lobbying has been legal. Why did the politicians legalize lobbying? Imagine they're asking me, Abe, would you like to get paid through corruption? And I'm there as the guy who's sitting there legally, and I'm there, the guy sitting there, and me and all the boys, the Democrats I didn't like, or the Republicans I didn't like, we're all in favor for this one, though. This one, we're allowing this one.
Yeah, we're gonna vote on this one as well.
And then they made it legal, and then here they are. They've been getting lobbied for years.
And some people are saying that allowing them to go and consult and to advise people builds those relationships with the companies, because they get are well known with that company now. They have relationships, they know the people, the companies especially, is more likely that they can influence each other, because there's no if you just a company just reaches out to you to try and influence a law, obviously it's corruption straight away, 100%. But if you already have those behind the scenes relationships, it's a lot easier to talk to these guys and have secret conversations behind the scenes.
Easily,
not only that, but they all study the same shit. They all study like law or politics, something like that.
They went to the same school.
They all go to the same school. They all go to the same company afterwards.
It's like Dovey working for fucking Apple, and I'm there, and Apple's like, listen, we need like this. They send Dovey. They're like, don't worry. Dovey's like, don't worry, I know, hey, me and him used to be boys. And he goes through, loads of things. Yo, hey, I beg you, look, I'll drop you like 100 mil. Go do this for us, yeah? 100. Son!
And then you already trust me as well. You're not going to question it.
I'm not going to question it.
It's fully like, when the cartel gets basically someone to fall for a fall guy, fall for a crime. It's basically like these guys in the private sector, like, listen, I beg you, just be prime minister for a couple years. Take the full, take the 100k. We'll pay you 100 mil afterwards. Don't worry.
You sit on the board. You won't even have to attend the meetings.
Just put your hand up when we say.
Yeah. Just
Jump high.
literally. So it's so true. But yeah, now let's just switch topics to an actual decent thing. Finally, that does happen recently. That Apple have finally now put support on allowing you to repair your own phones.
This is a long time coming. So
The right to repair, it's called.
Yeah, right to repair. So it's a thing the EU's pushing for as well, actually.
And it's the only reason Apple's done it.
yeah. They're gonna. Oh, bro. We'll get around to it. But yeah. So it's basically for years and years, Apple have been on purposely making it, like a lot of other companies, harder and harder to repair your own equipment. And in some cases, they program in failure after a few years. So, and this has been a big thing, and like even Apple got caught out like a couple of years ago for the reducing the battery life, and they did it for their reasons, whatever. And but they've slowly, with every release of the iPhone, it has gradually got harder and harder to repair it yourself. And
on purpose.
On purpose. So back at iPhone 6, 5 and 7 days, I used to repair phones and sell them on eBay. And it was quite tricky. You had to get specialist tools. You had to like know specialist shit just to replace stuff. And you usually had to put a third party item into the phone, like say the camera. You have to replace it with like a third party camera just because Apple would not supply you with the parts,
Snakes.
like an official part.
Snakes.
And then from iPhone 8, 9, 10 onwards, they made it impossible. Almost. Obviously, if you're good at like electronics and knowing what you're doing, you can still get around it. But they tried to make it as impossible, like basically as hard as possible for anyone at home to fix it themselves. So they started connecting stuff together, whereas if you remove one part, it removed others and it would break stuff. And like if you didn't do it a certain way with certain tools, you couldn't do it without breaking stuff. And
they designed these specific tools.
Specifically so people at home would not be able to do anything themselves. And even like third party, like corner shop, when you're going to get your screen repaired, they tried to make it harder for them. If they weren't officially supported by Apple, they tried to make it as hard as possible for them to do anything with the iPhone. And very recently they've just announced that they, like you said, supporting home repair. So they're going to allow you to, they're going to supply official Apple parts now to you. They're going to give guides on how to do it like safely and properly. They're going to probably, hopefully, stop making it I reckon they'll still make it really hard to fix so that you still opt to go to Apple.
Yeah, so that you're too lazy, feeling like too lazy.
But now they can say at least they provide support. And I was reading for their website. They were trying to gas themselves up. Right?
Yeah.
They were like, we're finally allowing a device that can be like, fully like customizable, like fixed, like repaired by the user, just like our software updates that we always bring out for free. And in reality, it's because the EU, it's because their customers forced them into this.
This was a forced thing, and they've been doing this for a very long time. Like there's been a massive movement called Right to Repair, and it's been ridiculous. And then to claim that you're like part of like the green movement.
You
like,
chose it.
You chose it. Yeah, you did it for free.
You're leading the way.
Yeah, you're leading the way. And also saying that how you're a green company, trying to do this and that. But really, remember when they took away the charger because they were like, oh, we want to reduce waste. Everyone's got a charger already.
Yeah.
And then they started making dongles. And
So then they did that on purpose, like that whole, and then the dongle thing on purpose. And then they were like, it's just like it's
the earbuds, the microphone,
pure violations across the board.
The suicide in China.
They were literally doing specific their phones were like becoming to a point where like it's just unbelievably you couldn't repair no matter what you did, and it just became like awful. And even Android started to follow their like that footsteps.
Yeah, when you first couldn't remove the battery, I was like,
they did it on purpose. That was on purpose.
Yeah.
That was because even to the day, you can literally just like you can add that if you wanted to. It's not a big deal, but they did that on purpose. So the e-waste has become a huge problem. That's why they're doing it like this, and they realize as well that people don't want to change their phones anymore like that.
Yeah,
because the difference between iPhone 13 and 11 is not that big at all. It's so minimal that you've optimized the phones to a point.
I think the first few years it was hype. It was quite a big step. I was oh my god, iPhone 5, iPhone 6.
Just
hype. Now it's just like we got a few more megapixels.
Right.
It is the fastest phone ever by 1%.
We now increase storage by 16 gigabytes.
We know you'll love it.
Like, seriously, it's completely trash.
So they're slowly trying to phase us in. So I think 2022 is the majority, like their goal of trying to like support it in different countries.
But are they going to do it in the same way though? For example, they still kind of do where change the screen costs you, or buying that screen costs you more than the actual phone.
So it's still not worth it. And they will only sell official Apple
Yeah.
parts. And actually, they said if you traded
Official
in the
Samsung
old
parts.
part, yeah, if you trade in the old part, you get credit towards the new part, which probably that's cool. But like,
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be
I'm
that
doing
much.
that recently. I'm waiting for the Black Friday. I'm gonna get myself a new phone. Just switch up the old phone for the
Oh,
new
really?
phone.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck it.
But,
Fuck it.
it's only going to start in America for now, and then 2022 they're hoping to include different countries, and it's going to take its time to get around the
Bro,
world.
Apple gonna get snake, bro. Have you heard the Tesla phone coming out? Though?
They got a Tesla phone.
Tesla phone, yeah, he announced it like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw, but they're not showing much of it. It's just like
They're just guessing it.
What do they
3D
mean by a
image.
Tesla? What do they mean by a Tesla phone though?
Like an actual
For
phone,
what?
like flagship phone straight up.
made by them.
Tesla.
I think it mines Mars coin.
Yeah, some crazy shit like that maybe. Everyone's just speculating.
Right. Oh, okay. But there's not a lot of info so far.
Yeah,
so-
I don't know
no,
about that. I'm
no
very
info.
suspect.
I don't
very
want it,
suspect. Very suspect about that one.
What do you mean? You just merge the phone with the chip in the brain and the
Oh yeah.
and the Mars and
Ah.
SpaceX and
Oh,
you
if
know,
someone hacks your phone, then hacks your brain.
It makes your brain hackable. Imagine
Yeah,
that.
that's
That's
right.
crazy.
Oh, that's
I
actually
don't
bad.
know, man. Star Trek coming in.
But that was a good thing actually. When we were talking about the original topic about like the social media, they literally call it brain hacking. They say
Right.
brains are the most easiest thing to hack using psychological tactics.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
We are fucked.
Because
bruv.
we still have all our like I guess raw
Old school,
emotions from
yeah,
back in the
but-
day.
You know
Yeah,
who's the best at
biological.
doing this? Like before the algorithms,
Who?
it was magicians, bro.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh.
Magicians were
Yeah,
the
they'll
number
clock-
one
they'll clock
guys.
your biases. They'll
Yeah.
clock your attention.
They know if they could touch you here, they could distract
exactly.
you here.
Yeah,
Move things,
sleight of
move
hand.
things. Bro. It's actually insane, man.
And they
Yeah,
used
that's
to
right,
that-
actually, that's sick.
and now you can see how powerful. Oh, whoops! Now you can see how powerful. You can see magicians. They could literally make you believe in magic.
Right.
Now imagine social media doing that every day to you. Making now
the algorithm's giving me some juice.
now you see what I'm talking about. Also, there was a attempted terror attack in Liverpool. Did you hear about this? This was crazy.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
It was very recent as well, actually.
yeah, very recent.
A few days ago, maybe a week. I think a few days.
Barely a week.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So some guy that he's come over. I forgot it was from.
Oh, it's homemade as well.
Yeah. But yeah, he
What do you mean by
what the bomb? Yeah, usually.
They're usually homemade. Where you
The
gonna buy it from the
shop
store?
was out of stock.
But she's like homemade. This guy got a copy from Tesco.
But it's a bit dumb that they said.
Nah,
it,
you
to
can
be
get it
fair.
on dark web, isn't it?
Yeah. But
Nah,
maybe.
can you really though?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can get anything.
I don't think
You get a
nowadays-
lot, to be fair.
Yeah,
but
Bombs,
I don't know.
guns and stuff. I know, but
You probably
bombs.
get the ingredients.
Yeah, you can get like probably the ingredients.
But you could
probably.
go
Bit of baking
But we
soda.
all know fucking Four Lions. You just go to the store, get 12 bottles of bleach, please.
You guys actually,
Sugar
I actually have no idea of the ingredients.
And I have no clue. I'm just chatting shit.
Oh, okay. Well,
Bro,
I'm not
don't
going to
you
mention
say
that.
this.
Joe was like, oh, yeah, I know it.
There used to be.
I used to practice before school.
Oh, they bullied me.
Floating around the web on the dark web used to be the Anarchist Cookbook, which literally was a guide to make
Oh,
bombs. And you could
shit.
easily get hold of it back in the day.
Oh, the
easily.
anarchist cookbook.
Yeah, and it would literally teach you step by step how to
Yeah.
make a bomb, how to make a pipe bomb, how to make different bombs. It was like literally a guide.
I'm surprised, like.
Oh, you can probably get guys off the deep web. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, they got 3D
yeah.
guns now, like 3D printed guns. You can just like literally download, press play.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just have to work out how to get, like, it's a lot harder to get the ingredients now. We put checks on, like, you know, if someone buys this and this, they're probably making a bomb. So what this guy has done, he's come over. Jordan from Jordan, I could be wrong, but he's come over from.
That made the Muslims look bad.
He's come over from
Nah.
somewhere, and he's converted to Christianity. And-
Liar.
That was a stage.
You know, that was infiltrate the infiltrate the kuffar.
They're saying he's done it because he initially got turned down for his asylum or his, to become a British citizen. He got turned down, so they're saying he tried to become a Christian, and he did convert to Christianity, and he attended church, and apparently from what the church has said that had interactions with him, they thought he was a proper Christian, like he actually properly converted, like he played the part really well, and so he never got his actual he didn't become a citizen. He got denied, but he stayed here for quite a while, and apparently he used different like names and different covers, and he moved around the UK, and slowly from a while back was buying the ingredients, because you have to space it out, you have to pretend to be a different person when you buy different things, so that it doesn't get flagged on the systems. And
Oh, this guy's the original deep fake, fam.
bro, he's come over and he's played it smart, and he's slowly got everything he needed to.
But the rest was where it fucked up.
The rest was where it fucked up. So I've heard conflicting stories, to be honest. But so he gets in a taxi. He has the bomb with him, and he's on his way to Liverpool, like the women's Liverpool hospital. And there's CCTV footage. I've watched it. It's mad. So the taxi pulls up outside the hospital, stops for like maybe 2 seconds. Bam! The car explodes. It didn't seem that huge, so I don't know if like
a shit bomb.
It was a bit of a shit bomb. He did fuck up.
Yeah,
because it even had ball bearings in for shrapnel, and like he put objects in it, so when it explodes, it kills more people. But the taxi driver actually managed to survive. So
imagine being in a car with a guy and you survived.
With the bomb and you survived.
Your bomb is dead, bro.
Like
I mean, he survived, but is it peak for him though?
I think he did have injuries, but for what happened, he got off really well.
He ran out of the car.
Yeah, he got out of the car. He stumbled off, and the only person that ended up dying in the whole tragedy was the terrorist. I've heard speculation that apparently the taxi driver locked the doors once he found out and wouldn't let him leave, and then the guy just decided to set off the bomb. But then I also read that they're investigating if it was just an unintentional explosion, like the guy didn't make the bomb well enough and it just went off when the car stopped, like the sudden jolt just caused it to explode, because it was really quick after he stopped. So it didn't really look like the locked doors could be the theory, because they would have had like a verbal argument for a while after he stopped before he decided, I'll just blow up the car.
Exactly.
Rather than the second it stopped, it just exploded. So
yeah.
But apparently there's no connection to the Manchester Arena bombings. They like to always bring it up like it's terrorist connected. Terrorist. But apparently they found no connections, and they spoke with his brother, and apparently he had a history of mental illness as well. Like he suffered from mental illness back in the day.
They always try to sneak that one in.
They do, yeah.
Come on, man. Everyone, nowadays, everyone claims depression and anxiety. Like, does that make you mental illness? Like, you know what I mean? Especially when you're not diagnosed. I don't really believe it.
Yeah. So this sounds like straight up sleeper agent, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was a good ending, to be honest, because no one else got injured apart from killed apart from himself.
That is so funny. He fucked up bad. Like, imagine.
That's the thing. You can't really practice that much, innit? I'm just saying.
Yeah, true. You got one chance.
That guy fucked him up. He's gonna put a down vote on that one.
Too late.
From heaven, when he's up the two virgins.
But I mean, it could have been really serious if he managed to get in and to get exploded. We don't know if the car protected the taxi driver.
Did they say he's Islamic in any way?
I'm Christian, bro.
I forgot where he came from, but he
Jordan, they have Christians there as well. That's what I'm asking.
He definitely wasn't Christian before he got to the UK.
Okay,
he converted upon coming.
Because
to the UK.
Jordan is mostly Islamic, but what I want to know is was he an Islamic person who then switched to Christianity in order to kind of hide himself a bit better, or was it more?
They think it's to try and get his
Look at him standing next to the Pope or some shit. No, he's definitely sleeper agent, but practicing.
Yeah. They believe it's like if you.
My guy's taking pictures like this next to the Pope, like guys, I got it. Remember, alibi.
In it. Look at me. I'm part of the country. But apparently they think he converted. And he must have really, if he was a real Christian, he wouldn't have done this. But
exactly.
So they're saying he's converted to try and get permission to stay in the UK, because he kept trying to get permission to live in the UK. They kept getting denied, and he kept really appealing to extend the time he was there, and they kept getting denied. So they think he was just trying to fit in with society, show he wanted to actually be British almost. And but in the end, obviously, we find out that he was there for a different reason.
The deadline, bro. That's why he was trying to extend.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he wasn't even known to MI5. He actually did it really well for a terrorist. Like he got into the country, no one had any suspicions. He got all the ingredients to make a bomb. Still, no one had any suspicions.
It could have been much worse. It could have been if he built that shit better and got out of that taxi, he would have been able to really wreak havoc.
He was completely unknown until the explosion happened. Unknown. So
to be honest, we probably don't know about loads of attacks that could have happened.
Yeah.
You know, we only hear about the things that happen.
Right. But they're searching all the places he stayed before. They're trying to find out if he had any accomplices or anything related to him in the UK that they could follow up on. But I don't think they found anything yet.
So everyone's okay then, healthy, mashallah.
Yeah, it worked out.
And we have one last crazy story there. Did you hear about a large-scale scorpion attack in Egypt?
It was like a war.
You guys watch these videos?
Yeah, no. So basically, in Aswan, Egypt, there's a huge storm recently, like floods, bad weather, and the scale of the floods caused the scorpions to come out of hiding. So scorpions tend to burrow into the ground or into holes, caves, rocks, anything. And where's safe? Well, where people safe in their homes, in high ground or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like us one's known for having the most poisonous scorpion in the world. I forgot its name. It has a name in Greek, which man killer. Its Greek name translates to man killer, and it's one of the most like poisonous scorpions in the world. And because of the floods and because all the scorpions have been pushed out of their hiding, they ended up in people's homes, in the streets.
Attack of the Scorpions.
Attack of the Scorpions, because
movie, bro.
500 people in a matter of a few days were like stung and were injured by the scorpions, and they had to start recalling doctors from abroad, from retirement, to try and help and administer. Luckily, we have what they call antidotes for this. So and I don't think there's actually even been many deaths, or if any, luckily, just because the technology and healthcare we have now or around the world. And doctors were being called back, and they're basically just trying to avoid it at the moment. There's still scorpions everywhere, and they're trying to avoid just not getting stung. And the hospitals are getting like basically flooded with people with these attacks that are happening. And it's just crazy. It sounded mad over there.
Imagine the scorpion is probably there waiting for them in the hospital too, because it's a safe place.
It's safe again. It's safe. So like at the moment, I would be scared living there, man. Anywhere you step, you could be
the size of these scorpions, because they were looking at the picture like they were like, I don't know, palms.
Yeah, they're not huge. But I think with scorpions, the smaller the more dangerous. The larger they're known for not being as
same
dangerous.
with spiders.
I don't think I've ever seen a scorpion in my life. Have you guys?
I have.
I haven't
actually.
actually.
I have.
Oh, you have? Maybe at like a zoo when I was younger.
Maybe a zoo. I don't know. I used to kill them on RuneScape to get like attack points.
Oh, those are big ones. So those are big.
Those are massive, bro.
They were the poisons.
Get my defense up.
Definitely not. They weren't poisons. Yeah. But so and then I actually one last story is that COVID is getting fucked all over Europe now.
Right,
massive.
Huge cases. Huge.
Everyone has Germany, US, the UK, the US.
Yeah, well, US never stopped. They
never stopped. They're getting slapped since day one. But it's getting so bad now that the UK has now added the third booster jab onto the passport, meaning that soon
onto the passport.
The NHS.
NHS.
Yeah. So sooner or later, countries, if you're going to go abroad, are going to ask for you to be fully vaccinated, which means including the third booster jab.
Yeah. So the definition is changing to 3 booster jabs.
So those people who
3
are
boosters or jabs,
sorry,
2
vaccines.
jabs plus.
Yeah. So those people who are not vaccinated are literally going to be weeks upon weeks behind, because it takes you 8 weeks between each one. So let's say you wanted to go on holiday,
you ain't going nowhere.
You're not going anywhere.
Like
Majority of it's going to be very, very hard to go anywhere. And and at this point, it is becoming absolutely ridiculous, because being vaccinated is just not enough. So
it keeps wearing.
So it just means to us, all these countries, Germany is locking down, Netherlands are locking down, Austria
massive protest though. Like I've been watching the videos. It's been crazy.
Where?
In Netherlands.
Really?
Yeah, people are going crazy.
I would be protesting too.
Looking like London riots out there.
Really?
Bro. I'm telling you,
bro. And you should be protesting, because like they said,
violence.
Yeah, because they said the vaccine is like that's the last thing we can do is the vaccine. Other than that, we have to live with it at this point.
Yeah.
We just have to, unless we take daily pills. Imagine that.
It was, by the way, I wasn't even a daily pill. Like you don't take it once; it was twice a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Merc pill. Yeah.
That's
double up.
I think it's why you had COVID. I don't know.
It's not every day. Yeah,
just for like a month. Yeah.
Right.
But then for me, it's just becoming a point where like, there is no end in sight.
Yeah.
And we cannot lock down. The UK cannot lock down again. I think locking down is just not feasible.
Yeah.
It's too much damage to the economy. And I think, yes, if our hospitals are overrun, what we're hoping is those who are vaccinated are the ones who are actually being in the hospital.
Right.
So we're hoping they're not going to be in ICUs. But if their immunity is going to wear off, and they haven't get the booster jab, I think, if you're a high risk person, get your booster jab. But I think, I'm sorry, let it go. Let it happen.
I think it's down to choice now. Like, personally, I'm going to keep getting booster jabs just because I don't want it again. But I think it should be completely choice. Like, if you don't want it, don't get it. If you don't want to lock down, don't. But
what's happening in countries though? Austria is now making it legal requirement to get vaccinated, and sooner or later, as well now in most clubs, bars, if you're not vaccinated, you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
In most things, you're just and I know that kind of ideology. These are democracies, Germany, they're not far away from us.
Right.
Netherlands, they're not far away from us. That stuff is going to come to us sooner or later.
Do you know, I just thought of an example. Let me know if it's a shit one. Right? But I was thought, like, what if a country said to all women, they were like, oh, you guys have to get
women only.
Yeah, women. Think about it, because it's like dividing.
Right. Okay.
So women only. You can't get pregnant anymore. Everyone has to get an injection. Everyone has to be like no babies. What's it called contraceptive pills. Some sort of crazy injection like that. Similar, that kind of idea. It's a bit. absurdity like that.
Oh, you're comparing them.
Yeah, I'm trying to compare.
I thought you were giving a new idea. I was like, what's this?
No, sorry.
COVID?
I was trying to compare the absurdity of trying to enforce any type of injection mandate on a certain type of population.
Crazy, yeah.
Actually, we were discussing that earlier today because we were talking about the baby and was having a marriage with Danny, and people were talking about having parental license, so everyone's ejected with like some sort of thing that stops them from having a child until you've got your license, right. Essentially.
No, it probably wasn't my idea. Then it just probably like
yeah, because we were discussing that and we were like although that's fucked, like it seems like a bad like civil liberty thing, but actually for kids it might be a good thing because they'll have actual good parents. But it's still crazy.
No, because then what will happen is you basically the people that get the license are the ones that basically they try hard. Well, rich of course, but the ones that follow all the rules basically, wherever the rules are. So basically, it's those tryhards that always follow the rules. Only those people are going to be allowed to have a license,
and all the kids are going to be the same tryhards.
Well, I think that would cause huge problems to the economy because we would lose a huge workforce.
Yeah, because that's a big problem with China now. Their workforce is aging. So what's happened to Japan? Because Japan had massive growth in back in the 80s. That was a China of the back of the 80s basically. But what happened was their population had aged now, and now they're declining in the economy and everything.
It's the same with us. So when after World War II we had the baby boom because all the men came home and they just wanted to have kids with the wives, and we had a huge workforce come through, and it saw our economy skyrocket. We had a huge workforce. We weren't paying too much to look after the older population. But nowadays, like, when are you going to have kids? When am I going to have it? I'm not having kids for another 10 years.
Exactly.
It's become a big thing where our generation doesn't want kids until they're older, and they're saying for the economy it's going to be huge consequences in the future.
Yeah. So I guess forcing a mandate of make sure everyone gets a COVID vaccination, it's not really going to work out.